Shri Sadgurudev Paramatmane Namaha. Shri Ramachandraya Namaha. Today, in the last couplet of Prabhu Prarthana, Shri Gurudev advocates thus: Bana hai yah tan bhavatarane ko, बूढ़त है मझधारा, कीजिए कृपा सफल हो जीवन, दे दो जरा सहारा. हे प्रभु, Asa Mann Kar Do. O Lord, this gross body, which was meant to swim the ocean of life to reach your sublime abode and shores, is aimlessly wandering and drowning midway. Have mercy on me. Save me. Help me to succeed in my spiritual journey. O Lord, please save my frivolous mind from drifting into the storm of the ocean of recklessness. Shri Gurudev composed poems, bhajans, dohas and prarthana under the pen name of Bana or Banadas. Here, the pen name Bana is used. Secondly, Bana means this body which is created and gifted to us by God. It is meant to help us swim the ocean of life cycle. Manasji says that our body is an instrument to achieve moksha or salvation. A person who uses it only as a means to fulfill his desires, rashly satisfying worldly pleasures, and misuses it, is bound to drown in the whirlpool of self-created miseries. At such times, if awakened, he calls on his Ishtadev or Sadguru, our enlightened special master, and asks for his mercy. O Lord, your little support would encourage me to erase the darkness of my mind, make it pure so that it can discern between the good and evil, and ultimately rescue me from the infinite cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The human body is an excellent instrument, a boat to cross the ocean of life. Bana in the prayer requests the Lord with jara sahara, meaning slight help, not to be over dependent on God, but asks Him to lend little support, a helping hand to cross over the ocean of life. This implies that we can excel in our spiritual goals if we creatively transform our routine, excel at our work, and illuminate our actions with ethical principles. We have to surrender the fruits of our labor, surrender unto Him unconditionally to deserve the slight support. A jnani, that is a knowledgeable one, seeking self-realization through the path of knowledge and truth, has to rise above the level of sentiments and existence of the gross body to reach the state of yoga sadhana, that is, the spiritual discipline to link oneself with the Supreme and unite with Him. Few dare to tread on this difficult path. The path of knowledge is like the crop of saffron that grows and thrives only in the conducive climatic conditions of Kashmir. In the Bhakti Marg, the body and senses move in unison to help the devotee to attain pure, steadfast devotion and faith. Maharishi Valmiki advocates to Shri Ram Das. Karanit karahi Ram pad puja, Ram bharos hriday nahi duja. Charan Ram तीरथ चली जाही, Ram basahu tinake manamahi. Meaning, O King, your true abode is the pure heart of your devotee, whose hands serve your lotus feet, one who relies exclusively on you and you alone, and who utilizes his feet for pilgrimage. As against this, a deluded person misuses his body. He uses his hands for theft and murder instead of humanitarian service. His feet trudge towards pub after pub instead of temples. His tongue repeatedly abuses others instead of chanting the Lord's name. His eyes are dazzled by the glitter of the world instead of yearning for the glimpse of the Lord. Such a person ultimately repents, as he could not perceive the evils of birth, death, old age and disease in his lifespan. He falls prey to the endless cycle of birth, death and rebirth. Even a small child understands that the key to a lock has twofold purpose, that of locking it as well as to unlock it. To tie a knot is an action. To untie it is another action. To tie is akin to bonding or binding, to get tied down to, whereas to untie means liberation, that is mukti. Such is the special nature and function of the human body, gifted to us by the Lord, for which we ought to be thankful. It depends on each individual whether to divert it towards good goals like bhajan, satsang, seva, service and punya, that is good action, to attain divinity and cross the ocean of life, or to misuse it to deceive, hurt and harass others. The Lord is kind enough to permit us total independence, a free will to choose between good and evil. We therefore should not take our independence and blessings for granted. Like obedient, lovable children, we should fulfill our duties with care to confirm our love for our Holy Father. The seeker, before attaining his goal in sadhana, finds the symbolic boat of his life drowning midway. The Lord says, life is a question of balance. He further explains thus. There is a whirlpool in the sea caused by sudden stormy weather when the seeker is suddenly and unknowingly engulfed by worldly attractions and attachments. The high waves of vices imbalance the boat of life. They act as a nose on him and weaken his willpower towards sadhana and dhyan. The boat of life begins to sink into the stormy waters of the sea. Secondly, if the boat is overladen and becomes heavy, it starts sinking. In life, when greed replaces contentment, accumulation takes the place of satisfaction. Want more and more, such desires of covetousness dominate the mind and thoughts. The aspirant forgets God. The boat of life becomes heavy. It cannot bear the load of avarice and starts sinking. Shri Gurudev has warned us thus. संग्रह कियो स्नेह बस राख और को मान प्रीत गई भगवान से बना गयो बेभान. Shri Gurudev says, hoarding leads to attachment to things and objects. It pulls your mind away from God. As the mind is in constant memory of things stored, it does not have place for God. Thirdly, a boat with holes that fills with water easily and then drowns. To resort to gossip, criticism, revenge and envy, or ridicule anyone is like making holes in the mind in our boat of life. It allows water to enter it. The clogged mind washes away fruits of bhajans and good values. The boat of life totters and then sinks. Fourthly, when circumstances give rise to fatal illness, the echoes of untimely death destabilizes the boat of life. The midst of the ocean here denotes the youth of your lifespan. Fifthly, during a cyclone, strong winds blow in opposite directions, outrageously blasting the sails of the boat. The aspirant loses restraint and virtuousness when he resorts to sin, immorality, and injustice. Grappled with such turbulences in the mind, his boat of life starts sinking. Again, there are huge icebergs in the sea, and many times only the tip of the iceberg is visible from a distance. Carelessness of the captain leads the boat to collide with them. The invisible icebergs of Maya, that is illusion and desires, obstruct sadhana and disrupt the life of a deluded and negligent seeker. Finally, in a storm, an unskilled sailor cannot control the boat, which nosedives into the surging waves. The world is full of so-called gurus, sadhus and saints who mislead imprudent, rash people who are full of insensible, endless expectations. How can someone who is himself incapable of reaching the shore rescue anyone? Again, a boat of stone piloted together by a greedy guru and a covetous disciple is bound to sink in the midst of its journey. It can never reach its destination. A sensible aspirant will not try to pilot his boat of life himself, but will hand it over to a proficient navigator, the Sadguru, our true preceptor. In the Ram Gita of Manasji, Lord Ram has spoken himself thus: Naratanubhava ridhi kahabero, sanamukh marut anugrah mero, karnadhar sadaguru dradhanava, durlabha saj sulabha karipava. God has helped man to traverse this bhavsagar, that is journey of human existence, which is compared to stormy seas. He has gifted to us this human body, though difficult to get, as a ship, along with God's grace and infinite mercy, as the favorable wind for smooth sailing. He has gifted to us this human body, though difficult to get, as a ship, along with God's grace and infinite mercy as a favorable wind for smooth sailing. Sri Sadguru himself is our pilot and navigator. The all-merciful God has showered us with these rare and priceless gifts. Now it is up to us to utilize them to attain liberation. For some, to water the fields, they have to work hard by drawing manually from the well. Only if they water it themselves will they grow and reap the harvest. Similarly, a spiritual aspirant wishing to free himself from the tentacles of Maya puts in immense effort to cleanse and conquer his body and mind. His sadhana attains siddhi, that is, attainment perfect, in success or supernatural power. This siddhi is called sadhan siddhi, attained by his effort alone. A rare, unfortunate seeker is showered with the grace of God. A timely shower of rain will automatically water his crops, even if he does not make any effort for the same. His mind field blooms automatically and achieves supreme bliss. According to me, the grace and mercy of God are like a lottery ticket or the check of Kaun Banega Karodpati. Only a rare, fortunate contestant is rewarded with 1 crore of rupees. Lord delivers such rare, fortunate people from the oceans of birth and death, those who are engaged in single-minded, steadfast devotion and selfless service. In the second line of this couplet, Shri Gurudev pleads, कीजे कृपा सफल हो जीवन दे दो जरा सहारा. At the end of the prayer, the contemplator requests God for his grace, benevolence and support. Here, a query arises in our mind. How do we know that God has graced us or favored us? How can we trust or believe that He supported us or given us a helping hand? In 1961, on Guru Purnima Day, after Sri Guru Pujan, that is offering and homage, Gurudev in his discourse has answered the above questions. He says, भगवान की कृपा प्राणी मात्र पर है, इसमें संदेह नहीं, यह बराबर है न? परंतु सभी दुखी देखने में आते हैं, यह कैसी कृपा? गोस्वामी जी के सिद्धांत के अनुकूल भगवत कृपा क्या वस्तु है, सो बताता हूँ. उन्होंने कई जगह पर इसका उल्लेख किया है. संत कैसे होना चाहिए? विशुद्ध. जब हम ऐसे संत पुरुष की संगत मिल जाए, तब समझना चाहिए कि यह भगवान की कृपा है. अब इनसे लाभ लो. भगवान तो सब पर कृपा करते ही हैं. उस भगवत कृपा का हमें उपयोग करना चाहिए. इतना सांगोपांग करने के बाद यदि दैवी संपत्ति आप में न आए तो आप कहे सो मैं लिख दूं. राम कृपा कब? जब साधु संग मिले. संत बचनों का हम अनुकरण करें तो बराबर दैवी संपत्ति आ जाएगी. भगवत कृपा का जब हम लाभ लेते हैं, साधु संग करते हैं, तब मीठा मीठा खाकर कड़वा कड़वा थू थू कर देते हैं. हमें अनुकूल पड़े ऐसे संत वचनों का पालन होता है और प्रतिकूल आज्ञाएं सब थू थू हो जाती है. इसलिए इसका न तो कोई महत्व रहता है और न ही परिणाम मिलता है। कृपा तो सब पर बराबर बरसती है, पर ऊषर बरसे तृण नहीं जामा। जैसे हमारा हाल है, सो ऐसा कहा गया है कि तुम्हारी कृपा पाव कोई कोई। Here Sadgurudev explains, there is no doubt that God confers His mercy and grace on all beings equally and impartially. Isn't it true? But all beings seem to look unhappy. What sort of grace is this? I will tell you what Bhagavad Kripa is in the words of Goswamiji Tulsidas. अब मोहि भा भरोसा हनुमंता, बिनु हरि कृपा मिलहि नहीं संता। संत विशुद्ध मिले पुनितेहि, राम कृपा करि चितवहि जेहि। जब द्रवहि दीन दयालु, राघव साधु संत पाइए। गिरिजा संत समागम, समन लाभ कछु आन। बिनु हरि कृपा सो होई नहीं, गावहि वेद पुराण आदि आदि। Who is a saint? Someone who is holy or pure. When we come in contact with such a saintly person, understand that he has met us through the divine grace. Now take guidance from him to mold yourself. That's all. While surrendering yourself to anyone, remember this. माता पिता गुरु प्रभु की बानी, बिनहि विचार करिए शुभ जाने. Obey and execute the orders of your mother, father, Gurudev and God without hesitation. These will always be for your well-being. After knowing and understanding so much, if you are not blessed, I am ready to take total responsibility for my words. When do we believe we are blessed? When we are in company of saints and enlightened souls. If we righteously follow the teachings of the learned sages, we will be bestowed with Devi Sampatti or divine wealth. Goswami ji says, Tumhari krupa pav koi koi. What does he imply? When we are blessed with good, righteous company, we savor the sweet praises and spit out the bitter truths pointed to us. We follow what we feel will be favorable to us and discard what would adversely affect us. If good counsel is not listened to, it loses its value to rebound with bad rewards. God bestows equal mercy on all, but Ushar barse trun nahi jama, which means a salty, barren, arid soil does not grow grass even if it receives rain. For sadhana, be worthy to call on God and to solicit His attention to help us remove the malicious despitefulness in us, to overcome the weakness and delusions of mortal life. Rain on salty soil is wasted, like the water that slides down the mountain slopes. When a faith lacks conviction and confidence, it is dry like a desert. When the mind is bloated with a mountain-sized ego, the mercy of God does not remain for a long time and brings no benefit to it. To remain worthy of His grace, one has to recreate oneself, gather the falling pieces of the shattered mind, purify one's thoughts, and lead a holistic life. Satsang, along with the blessings of God, creates a sound body in a sound mind which can face the world with the deepest truths that reside and abide in it. One attains Anand, the sublime bliss, the elixir of life. Our spiritual master, Sri Sadgurudev, has gifted us with the choicest pearls of his wisdom, preached through his discourses, poems, swadhyay, and prayer. We have to inquire from him submissively and render service unto him in thought, word, and deed to be worthy of his grace, sympathy, and support. An obedient aspirant is comfortable under the refuge of such a bona fide, self-realized master. He is rid of any fear or guilt, acts according to his master's direction, feels exalted and ready for liberation in this embodied state. One's perfection in life and in God consciousness is guaranteed. He becomes a favored disciple of his Sadguru. Raghunathji himself beckons him to his divine abode. Lord Sri Ram has bestowed his grace on us by gifting to us his trusted messenger, our enlightened Sadgurudev. Let us all strive together to lead ourselves towards higher awareness and accomplish Gurudev's dream for us. जब जीवन खत्म हुआ तब जीने का ढंग आया, क्षमा जब बुझने लगी तब महफिल में रंग आया. Meaning, when life is nearing towards its end, we are learning the way to live, the true way to live. Just as the whole universe with the sun, moon and stars shine with the sparkle and spirit of the Almighty, let us pray to Gurudev to kindle our hearts with the spark of his grace. Let his efforts and grace not go in vain. Let us turn inwards. Let us weed out the evil within us. Let us learn the healing power of good. Let us awaken the collective human conscious in us to allow us to practice the art of good and ethical living and prevent us from harming and destroying others. Let us not disappoint our Gurudev. Let it not be so late. Come, today, right now, join your palms with pure devotion. From the bottom of your hearts, join in this prayer to Sri Gurudev. Hey Prabhu, Asa Mann Kar Do. O Lord, condition my mind thus, with malice towards none, with charity towards all. We pledge to him like Arjun, Karishyate vachanam tava. I shall follow your command. Shri Sadgurudev ki jai. It is said, Sankat se Hanuman chudave, manakram bachan dhyan jo lave. Shri Hanumanji destroys the troubles of those who meditate on him in thought, word and deed. कहा हनुमंत विपति प्रभु सोई, जब तव सुमिरन भजन न होई. Shri Hanumanji Bhagwan ki jai. We shall end the prayer with reiterating our faith in our Gurudev. with a small thought. Footprints in the sand. One night I had a dream, and across the skies flashed scenes from my life. In each scene, I noticed two sets of footprints in the sand. And to my surprise, I noticed that many times along the path of my life, there was only one set of footprints. And I noticed that it was at the lowest and saddest times in my life that God had left me. I asked God about it. God, you said that once I decided to follow you, you would walk with me all the way. But I notice that during the most troubled times in my life, there is only one set of footprints. I don't understand why you left my side when I needed you most. God said, my precious child, I never left you during your time of trial. When you see only one set of footprints, I was carrying you. Here we have the original footprints of Param Pujya Shri Gurudev, courtesy Damyantiben Sejpal. Shri Sadgurudev ki jai.